If you want to get more traffic, leads, and sales from your search marketing efforts, the most fundamental skill you must master is the ability to satisfy user search intent. If you do this, you will win, regardless of whether we're talking about traditional search or AI SEO. But there's a deeper, even more important skill underneath this that the most successful teams have figured out. Something that powers all of your marketing initiatives, not just search marketing, and that is audience intelligence. See, in order to satisfy user search intent, you must understand user search intent. And in order to understand user search intent, well, you have to understand your users. This is where audience intelligence comes in, one of the most underutilized yet powerful elements of your marketing toolkit. And while most marketers think they know what audience intelligence is, they fail to connect it to tangible marketing efforts, which is what you'll learn how to do in this video. My name is Matt Kenyon. I help businesses get more traffic, leads, and sales from organic channels like Google and AI search. And in this video, you're going to learn why audience intelligence is truly the superpower of the most successful marketing teams, how it directly connects to your everyday marketing processes, and some practical audience research tactics you can implement today to stand out above your competitors. Audience intelligence, as I would define it, is a robust understanding of your target users' pain points, needs, and browsing/buying behaviors, and how those things intersect with your brand's content, products, or services. Audience intelligence is not creating a persona for a 45-year-old Bert who lives in Montana and likes fishing on the weekends. A persona like that gets immediately shelved and never put to action. Unfortunately, many of us are familiar with this, and that's where most brands stop. You've probably seen an ad or visited a website or read a piece of content that genuinely feels like it's reading your mind. This is a brand that's undoubtedly invested time and resources into researching and knowing their audience. Sometimes even better than the audience knows themselves. And the fact that most content these days is generic or forgettable only reinforces that audience intelligence provides us with an incredible opportunity to stand out in a world of mediocre AI-spun content. Great audience intelligence is truly the engine that powers all of your keyword research, your content, your sales copy, and hopefully your products and services themselves. In the long run, one piece of high-quality content informed by real-world audience intelligence will undoubtedly outperform 5 mediocre pieces of content in search. But if you're still not convinced, here are 2 very practical ways audience intelligence can take your search marketing to the next level. And after that, we'll get into the actual techniques for doing audience research. First off, audience intelligence reveals what I call iceberg keywords. Now, we're probably all familiar with the iceberg metaphor, this idea that what is visible, the part of the iceberg that pops out of the water, is only a small fraction of a much larger hidden reality. Without audience intelligence, you may get lucky and drive traffic and sales to your website with tip of the iceberg keywords, if you want to call them that, but there's a whole world of user pain points, questions, and needs that you aren't addressing under the surface. Taking an example from my own life, I recently bought the Teleprompter, to help me produce YouTube videos like the ones you're watching now more efficiently and naturally. Now, if I were doing SEO for this particular brand, some surface level keywords might include teleprompter for YouTube, talking head teleprompter, or consumer grade teleprompter. But consider all my pain points and all the things I searched on Google or ChatGPT as I was doing research. Things like tips for quickly editing talking head videos, how to memorize lines for video, best teleprompter apps for iPad. On the surface, these queries, with the exception of that last one, have no relation to teleprompters. But a marketer with sufficient audience intelligence would realize that someone searching for tips on how to quickly edit talking head videos is likely struggling with the pain of editing rambling A-roll takes, and is a perfect candidate for a teleprompter. Similarly, people searching for tips on how to memorize lines for video are trying to find the most efficient way to deliver their message on camera, kind of like how I was. Again, perfect candidates for a teleprompter. Without audience intelligence, search marketers would really have no clue these types of keywords even existed, much less be able to rank for them and increase their brand visibility. Now, this leads me to the second practical way audience intelligence helps brands do better search marketing. It allows us to act as knowledgeable consultants in our content rather than pushy salespeople. So if you're not familiar, consultative selling is a sales approach where the salesperson acts as an advisor or a consultant to help buyers identify and solve their problems rather than simply pushing products or services. The focus shifts from making a quick sale to truly understanding the customer's needs, challenges, and goals before recommending solutions. This is the kind of content that not only leaves the user feeling like we're reading their mind, but also builds trust and is much more likely to organically be shared around. So let's take a look at that last keyword, best teleprompter apps for iPad, as an example. A massive downside of most consumer-grade teleprompters is that you have to use your own iPad or iPhone with third-party software to operate the device. Most of these apps are very poorly made, unreliable, and frustrating to use. So, someone searching for this keyword likely already owns a teleprompter and is dealing with the hassle of finding a reliable teleprompter app for their iPad or iPhone. The Elgato prompter has its own screen and doesn't use an iPad or any other external device to operate, which is a huge benefit. So if I were to take a consultative content approach, I would create the best, most comprehensive list of iPad teleprompter apps with pros and cons and first-hand experiences, everything. However, throughout the piece, I would conversationally and naturally weave in this idea, not in a pushy way, but that the superior teleprompter experience is not having to deal with iPad apps at all. Namely, by using a device like the Elgato prompter that has a built-in screen. You don't have to worry about fiddling with any of this. It's just ready to go. This way, you're using content to satisfy both the surface-level user search intent, but also the underlying pain point or need beneath it. Are you seeing the power here? See, audience intelligence unlocks a whole world of hidden pain points and keywords that you can target across all your marketing channels to drive more traffic and revenue to your business. Now, let's talk about some of my favorite ways to actually find these audience insights. The first is to start with your own internal data. Most brands have gold hidden in their analytics, they just need a bit of direction on where to look. Before heading out to the broader internet, take some time to analyze some of your internal site metrics, which are more often than not telling a rich story about your users. There are certain metrics that are louder and more obvious than others, such as purchase data, which helps surface your most popular products or services, but there are other valuable ones that aren't so obvious. For example, support ticket themes reveal the questions your content isn't answering clearly enough. You can export the last 90 days of your customer support tickets and run them through ChatGPT, asking it to identify recurring themes. Continuing with the teleprompter example, you might spot patterns like, how do I know if this works with my camera? Or what's the return policy for opened electronics? This is basically your audience spelling out for you what content to create next. And on the plus side, it's the kind of content that prevents those tickets from being created in the first place. So hopefully your customer support team will benefit as well. Another audience research goldmine is Google Search Console, but perhaps not in the way you'd expect. In Google Search Console, you can click a particular page to isolate the terms your audience is searching to surface that page. From here, you can identify things that your audience is looking for that maybe you're not giving them on the page. For example, on one of my old client sites, we wrote an article about beeswax for skincare. Now, if I isolate just that page, I can see all the search terms that trigger a click or impression for this page in the Google search results, including this one, does beeswax clog pores, which we don't answer in the content. This exercise signals to me both how my audience searches, but also prime opportunities for content creation or optimization. In the next phase of audience research, we're going to broaden out from our own internal metrics and tap into the broader conversation our audience is having across the web. See, in my opinion, the juiciest and most helpful insights always come from user-generated sources. Things like review sites, YouTube videos, and their comment sections, niche forums, and community sites. Continuing with the teleprompter example for the sake of simplicity, the first thing is identifying competing teleprompters and studying the reviews, specifically the low-star reviews. For example, just skimming through these, I can gather the following audience insights. Many folks are frustrated that this teleprompter is too complex and cumbersome to set up, so clearly convenience is a priority. Next, the recommended app is, quote, terrible to work with, and many people say similar things. And next, the fact that you need to use your own iPhone or iPad seems to limit certain functionalities on the teleprompter. Now, as a marketer, this is already building a picture of my ideal customer in my head, a customer that I now have the language to directly address in my bottom of funnel sales pages. I can create an FAQ section answering some of these questions, or make sure to drive home just how easy the prompter is to set up and break down, and how it requires no third-party application to use. Now, while these Amazon reviews are an excellent way to glean some insights for our money pages, let's see if we can start meeting our users further up their buying journey by addressing some early pain points or questions, maybe before they even realize a teleprompter is the solution to their problem. Now, I found AI to be really helpful in surfacing some of these insights that we can then validate with real humans. Check this out. I asked Claude to pretend it was the marketing leader in charge of Elgato Prompter and give me some pain points, needs, and obstacles that users might face along their buying journey, as well as how they might articulate that in search. I'll leave the prompt in the description if you want to try it out for your own brand. The insights were actually quite good and even relatable to my own experience as a YouTuber. Some of the pain points that Claude surfaced were looking awkward or amateurish on camera, blanking out on what to say when filming. Seriously, why does this always happen, man? It's like hitting record triggers a Men in Black style memory wipe. Real ones know. Next, the post-production nightmare of editing out pauses, filler words, and mistakes, and the issue with most DIY teleprompter setups that require third-party apps. Now, these are all valid pain points that I've experienced myself, but they're still important to validate in the real world. So let's pull on that thread of how not to look awkward on camera by heading to one of my favorite places on the internet, YouTube. And yes, the comments section. Don't be scared. We'll go together. Now, when I look at this video containing tips for how to talk to the camera, the comments section is an absolute goldmine of customer pain points, specifically this user who just says, I often find it hard to just get started talking. Next, let's go to Reddit and see how they're getting on. In this Reddit thread, marketers are debating the viability of AI talking head videos, with many saying it takes away from the authenticity of a real human. Now, if I'm the marketing leader for Elgato, this is a prime opportunity to position the prompter as a perfect middle ground of both convenience and authenticity. The more effort you put into searching through these user-generated sources, the greater your understanding of your target user's pain points. A bit like assembling a jigsaw puzzle and seeing the big picture come together. But if you really want to take your audience intelligence to the next level, you have to go to the next phase. And introverts, I apologize in advance, but you have to talk to your customers face to face. Now, this is a higher effort task that requires you to actually speak to another human, but man, it is so valuable. You don't have to rely on hunting through Reddit or Quora comments for gold nuggets. You can have a real back and forth conversation and actually ask a customer things like, how did you find out about us? What specific challenge were you facing that our product or service solved for you? What sort of content did you consume that led you to a purchasing decision? And what do you think people in your position would resonate with to drive them to buy? As someone who's done a lot of research calls with prospects and customers, here's a pro tip. Don't just rush to the next question. Remember this phrase. Tell me more about that. In my experience, the best insights you'll find are about 2 to 3 layers deeper than someone's surface level answer. When you prompt them to go deeper, they'll get down into really valuable insights. For example, I really need my camera delivery to be smooth and natural. Okay, tell me more about that. Well, when it's not smooth, I watch it back and kind of cringe because I just look like such a newbie. Yeah, I hear you. I'd love to hear more about that as well. I don't know. I hate looking like a newbie because it makes my audience think I don't know what I'm doing. And did you catch that? Suddenly, you're not just selling a teleprompter anymore. You're selling confidence, and you have the language to sell it to them in a way that meets them right where they are. And just think about all the other search optimized content possibilities from the audience intelligence we've gathered through these exercises. Struggling with recording momentum? We have a solution. Want the speed of an AI talking head video while retaining the authenticity of a human? We have a solution. And the best part, this sort of audience research doesn't have to take a long time. It just takes intentionality. And as you carve out space in your schedule to regularly pay attention to what your audience is saying and doing, you'll grow a knowledge base of audience intelligence that will make you truly unstoppable, no matter what the future of search marketing holds. So, what are your Iceberg user pain points? What needs do your prospects really feel, not just on the surface, but underneath their searches? Give these techniques a try and let us know in the comments what you find. And if you want to learn more about how to succeed in this brave new world of AI SEO, you can watch this video next. Until we meet again, thanks for watching and happy ranking.